Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Keith, and I'm sure glad you stopped by today. In today's video, we're going to take you through the process step by step on how you can replace your vehicle's battery. Now, we've already established that this vehicle's battery is bad. That's step number one. You need to make sure you take care of that first. Confirm that you do in fact have a bad battery and the battery is your problem. If you want to take a look at that video, I'll drop a link here and here, and I'll put a link down in the description below where we go through the steps that you as a DIYer can take to test your vehicle's battery from home. Now, the focus of today's video, though, is going to be to replace the battery. So if that sounds good to you, let's dive in. Now let's talk about the parts and the tools you're going to need in order to replace your car battery. Of course, you're going to need a new battery, and that's what we have here. Whenever you go get to your new battery, make sure you take your old battery with you. That way you won't be charged a core battery disposal fee. So take your old battery with you. And when you pick out a new battery, you want to make sure you get a battery that fits your make, model, and size of your vehicle. So you need to pay close attention to these numbers here. Now let's dive in a little bit and I'll tell you more about these numbers and what they mean. The first term we'll tackle is group size. Now this is like the battery size code. It's an essential code because not all batteries fit all cars. Group size refers to the physical dimensions and terminal configuration of the battery. It's like buying shoes, right? You need the right size for a comfortable fit. You can usually find this information in your car's owner's manual or by simply looking at your old battery. Make sure you pick a battery with the right group size to ensure it'll fit snugly in your car. The second term is cold cranking amps, or CCA. Think of this as the battery's power when it's cold outside. Like one of those frosty winter mornings, CCA tells you how much power the battery can deliver at 0 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 seconds while maintaining a minimum voltage. The higher the CCA, the better the battery can start your car in cold weather. So if you live in a cold climate, pay attention to the CCA rating when choosing a battery. The next term is cranking amps at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. This is often abbreviated as CA. This is similar to CCA, but it's the measure of a battery's power at a slightly higher temperature, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. CA represents how well your battery can start your car in less frigid conditions. So if you live in a milder climate, this is the rating to consider when selecting your battery. Last but not least, we have the minute reserve capacity, or MRC. Think of this as your battery's backup power. It's the number of minutes a battery can deliver a constant amount of current before it's completely discharged. So if your alternator fails, your car can still run on the battery for a certain amount of time. The higher the MRC, the longer your car will keep running without the alternator. This can be a lifesaver in case of emergencies. So moving on, for the battery, we're going to need a set, a ratchet, some sockets, maybe need some wrenches in order to remove the battery terminal connectors. You're going to need a set of wire brushes in order to clean off any corrosion from your connectors. Get you some petroleum jelly. We're going to use that at the very end to protect our terminals. Got a paper towel, some shop towels here just to clean up after ourselves. In addition to these wire brushes, we have this battery terminal connector. So what it is a wire brush on this side, and on this side you can actually put it over your terminals to clean them out if you need to. Get you a set of safety glasses because we're going to be dealing with the corrosion possibly on the terminals. We don't want that stuff to come back in our eyes, so get you a pair of safety glasses, and also get you some gloves to protect your hands from any contact to the possible corrosion and things like that that are on the battery. So that's all we need. Let's move on to the next step. Remember, safety first. Make sure you're wearing some safety glasses, goggles to protect your eyes. Have some gloves on to protect your hands from any corrosion. Make sure your vehicle is in park, turned off in park, and also make sure that your emergency brake is down just to be safe. Now let's locate the car battery. In most vehicles, the battery is going to be in the engine bay. It's typically a rectangular or a square-shaped box with two terminals. It's going to have a positive terminal and a negative terminal, which you see here, which is denoted with the negative symbol, and the positive terminal was denoted with the plus symbol. Now, before removing the car battery, we need to start by disconnecting the battery cables. You're going to use your wrench or your socket to loosen the nut that's on the negative terminal first. So we want to loosen this one up first. So we're just going to take our socket, our wrench here rather, and rotate this. Take our wrench so that we can loosen up the negative terminal. And then we want to do the same thing for the positive terminal. It's important that you start with the negative terminal first. I'm pointing to this guy. So let's remove this box here. Then we're going to take our wrench again and let's loosen this up. Once we get it loose, wiggle this off of here. Then we're able to move this to the side. So now we have our battery cables disconnected from the battery. Next step, let's move this protective shield. Get it out the way. And like I mentioned to you before, this battery is already bad. It failed a load test and a voltage test, but I'll show you what doesn't look too good. See that there? It looks like this battery terminal has lifted off this battery. So just a visual indication that this battery is in fact bad and it needs to be replaced. So we've got our battery cables removed from the negative and the positive side, and we have these sitting to the side. Now, before we can pull this battery up and out of here, we need to remove this securing bracket. The securing bracket is going to be right there. That's what I'm pointing to right there. Now, in my case, the securing bracket is here at the bottom of the battery. On some vehicles, you may have a bracket that comes across the top of the battery. It would come across here and under the handle. Either way, it's gotta be removed in order for us to be able to pull out this battery. So let me go get the right size socket, and we need to get this bracket off, and we'll be right back. So in my case, I'm using a number 10 size socket. I've got an extension and I've got my 1/4 inch drive ratchet. I'm gonna get under here and remove it. So I've got the screw removed. Now let's go ahead and remove the bracket. Now the bracket is out. So then now we have those two removed. We should be ready to go ahead and remove the battery. Let me reposition the camera and we'll be right back. So then now we got our battery, the bracket removed. All we have to do now is to grab our handle, lift up on the battery, and it comes straight out. Now let's go ahead and make sure that our battery terminal connectors are clean. So a clean connection is important to make sure that we get maximum performance out the battery. So if you look at this connector here, I'm just going to take some wire brushes and make sure these are clean. I've got my safety glasses on as well to make sure that none of this corrosion jumps back in my eyes. But I'm just taking my wire brush and cleaning all the surfaces to make sure they all look good. Now if you have a really bad corrosion problem, you're going to want to get you some baking soda and water, and you can apply a little baking soda and water mixture on these terminals, and that baking soda and water will eat away at any corrosion you have. So right now I'm just coming in and cleaning out this terminal connector. So you see that I'm just coming in with my wire brush, getting in there real good, making sure we got a nice clean surface. Yeah, and that looks real good. That's cleaning up nicely. See that? Now let's do the same thing with the positive side. So here's our positive battery terminal connector, just coming in here with our wire brush, cleaning it up real good. Get down in there. Very good. Negative side looks nice and clean. Positive side looks good. Hold on while we get ready for our next step and get this battery put back in here. So we're now ready to put our battery in our battery tray. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now, before you put it in your tray, make sure you orient and position this battery correctly. So we want to have the positive on the right side and the negative on the left side. So think about that before you pick it up, because this battery is going to be heavy. So I've got the battery here now. Position my cables out the way. Pick up on this here. Set it down. And move my handle down. Now we have that position. So we got our battery in here. So now we have our battery positioned where we want to. We have it oriented correctly. Next step, we need to make sure we secure our battery tie down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Remember, there's a clamp on the other side of this that secures our battery. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've got my ratchet, my extension, got my socket. Goes right there. There you go. I'm just gonna start it by hand first, make sure it's going in right. That's good. Let's get my ratchet. Don't want to over tighten, so I'm just gonna snug it down. And once it's snug, I'll go a little bit more. Don't want to over tighten and possibly strip it out. So it's tight now, it's snug, a little bit more. That's it right there. Let's do a little wiggle test. That's good. Perfect. So we've got our battery clamp securely down. I'm just doing a wiggle test to make sure this doesn't move. So we have our battery clamp now securely fastened. Now I'm just doing a wiggle test. It doesn't move. Perfect. Now we're ready to move on to the next step. So now we're ready to connect our battery terminal connectors. So before, remember, we had to pay close attention to the negative cable. It was the first off. Remember, it was the first cable that we removed. Now, since we're reinstalling this battery, reinstalling this new battery, that cable needs to be the last one to go on. So when we put the cables on, we're going to start off with the positive side, again, to avoid any issues and possibly shorten this battery out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this protective cover on the positive battery terminal. Another thing I'm going to do while I'm working on this positive side, I'm going to get me a little piece of paper towel and set right here, so we don't run the risk of touching this terminal and this terminal at the same time with our tools. So I'm going to set me a paper towel right here just to reduce that risk. Cover for the positive side, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Get that position in there good. Now since we've got that on, now I'm going to take my ratchet and my socket set. Let's go ahead and tighten this up. Now once you go tight, snug it just a little bit more, and that's it right there. Very good. That's a secure connection. I'm gonna do a wiggle test. That looks good. Now I'm gonna put my cover on here to protect the positive side of our battery. Very good. So now we've just done the positive side. Now we're going to remove our towel. Now let's take care of the negative side. Remember, the negative side is the last side to go on. So we'll take this negative terminal connector, loosen it up a little bit. Now let's tighten it up. So I'm gonna use my 8mm. Let's tighten this up. Use our 8mm. Tighten it up. We're gonna go snug. Go a little bit more. So snug it down a little more. Let's do a wiggle test. Very good. Those connections are tight. Battery's tight. Looks good. Last thing we're gonna do is to take an additional step to prevent any corrosion from forming. Something that I like to do is to take some petroleum jelly, and you're gonna get your finger and you're gonna smear it over the positive and the negative terminals. And what this is gonna do is help drive out moisture and prevent corrosion from forming on these terminals. And since petroleum jelly is fairly inexpensive, this is an additional step you can do that can save you headache of problems in the future. If you want to see what impact corrosion can have, I'll drop a link somewhere up here to a video I just did maybe earlier this year, and it's about how to start a car, how to fix a car easily that won't start, something like that. So go check that video out, and that video will show you firsthand the importance of having nice, clean, secure connections at the battery and not having any corrosion, what that can do for you. So we're just wrapping up here. Let me give you a view of what this battery looks like now. See that? Nice, clean, tight on the negative side with our petroleum jelly smeared on there. And we've done the same thing for the positive side. Nice, clean connections with our petroleum jelly on there. Now let's go back and put our positive terminal connector cover back on. Get situated. Cover's on. Awesome. So I think we got clean connections here. We got our petroleum jelly on here. Now let's get into the vehicle and do a test and make sure this car will fire up. Hold on and I'll be right back. I'm gonna head inside the vehicle now and start it up to make sure that the vehicle will start. So I'm inside the vehicle now. Let's go ahead and start it up. So our vehicle just started up without a problem. Now let's look over our work one last time. Make sure your battery cables are tight and there are no loose connections. And also take a look around the battery and make sure there are no signs of any damage or leaks. If everything looks good, you're ready to go. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, hit that subscribe button and click that bell so anytime we drop a new video, you'll be the first to know. Hit that like button and leave me some comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in any of the products we used in today's video, we'll leave some links down below. Hope you have an awesome day, and thanks for watching.